Wow, what an ending to Raw. Now, whether you liked it or you hated it, you cannot deny it grabbed your attention. Next week is going to be huge. WWE just gave us a cliffhanger. Not only that, the best cliffhanger of the year to end the year. 2020's WWE Raws are over. Literally, next week's Raw will be in 2021, and we find out maybe what happened with Randy Orton, the match, the gasoline, and Alexa Bliss. Alexa seemingly had some kind of late Christmas present for Randy Orton. She unboxed it in the ring, and it turned out to be gasoline. She literally poured the gasoline in the ring over herself and tried to get Randy Orton to basically burn her like he did to the Fiend. Of course, the show completely ended with Orton striking the match. Now, we did do a theory video for Sunday's premiere with Bray Wyatt changing, and we was talking about the idea that the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, could be evolving his character. Now, interestingly, on this theory video, we mentioned the fact in the swamp fight, we witnessed cult leader Bray seemingly die. He couldn't come out from the swamp. The Fiend emerged. We then saw later on Raw, a couple of weeks later, Bray Wyatt get put into that box, seemingly maybe die in the fire, and the Fiend emerged. So is it possible that there needs to be like a perish of a Bray Wyatt face for the Fiend to emerge? If so, was Alexa Bliss trying to sacrifice herself on Raw this week to then hopefully bring the Fiend back? Maybe if Alexa dies, then the Fiend can return just the way he has before. Now, I certainly was not planning to do this week, especially after what we actually saw. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is the most must-see segment of these things you might have missed videos. I introduce to you, including all puppets from all over, ladies and gentlemen. It's Puppet Watch! I've really got to stop that. But anyway, Randy Orton did indeed travel to the Firefly funhouse, and we saw the puppets. We first of all saw Huskus the Pig Boy get punted by Randy Orton, literally kicked him into next week. Of course, Mercy the Buzzard got thrown through Abby's window, taking out Abby's window, completely terrible. It didn't end there. Randy Orton ripped the head off a rambling rabbit, that poor rabbit. That actually led to Matt Riddle tweeting, saying, "Not Baby Broder," of course, really cool. Great continuity there by Matt Riddle. Of course, a couple of weeks ago during the hide and seek, he actually met Ramblin' Rabbit and gave him the nickname Baby Broder. I thought that tweet might be something that some of you may have missed, so I definitely wanted to include it because it's definitely fun. But seriously, damn you, Randy Orton. I mean, this was Randy Orton, basically, he literally said it, making sure the Fiend had nothing to come back to. If he destroyed Bray Wyatt / the Fiend's friends, then what does Bray have to actually return to WWE for? Logically, it makes sense. Now, one of the cool things, of course, staring us straight in the face, is the fact Randy Orton himself is in the Firefly funhouse. Now, first things to mention, this is the first time anyone has been in the Firefly funhouse without Bray Wyatt being there. Very interesting point to make. Second of all, the question I've been asked about 4 or 5 times since Raw, how? How did Orton go to the funhouse? If we look at other people who have gone to the funhouse, Braun Strowman, he was a victim of Bray Wyatt / the Fiend and the Mandible Claw before he went there. The same with Seth Rollins. He was a victim. He went to the funhouse. Yes, he burnt it down. But they both took the Mandible Claw. Now, I agree. Other people have been to the funhouse, but I think we can explain it. John Cena did not find the funhouse. The funhouse found Cena. He was teleported to the Firefly funhouse. Of course, he wasn't alone. Postman Pierce showed up in the funhouse, but again, Bray wanted to sign that contract for the match. Therefore, he was probably welcomed, and Bray probably helped light the way. Cool. And of course, Postman Pearce did make an appearance on Raw tonight with a special delivery to The Miz. Of course, not Funhouse related, but I wanted to mention it nonetheless. Miz is still Mr. Money in the Bank. Postman Pearce said because John Morrison cashed it in, The Miz is still Money in the Bank contract holder. Very interesting and very well done the way they did that for TLC. And then, of course, give it back to him. Great way to entertain. Even Alexa Bliss herself was a victim of the Fiend before she was able to go to the Firefly Funhouse. Now she's a regular there, but before that, she couldn't travel there, we assume. We also know that now that Randy Orton is a victim of the Fiend. He has indeed suffered a mandible claw multiple times by the Fiend. So if that's the case, maybe that's the way that he's able to find the Firefly Funhouse. We've always envisioned that maybe the Fiend changes people with that hurt glove by leaving a bit of himself in that opponent. It would make a little bit of sense, logically. We'll find out maybe in the future. Something I noticed on Raw tonight, and it really needs to be pointed out, is Alexa Bliss's facial expressions. During the Alexa's Playground segments and the segment that closed Raw, her facial expressions showed true emotion, showed fun, friendly, upset, tears. It was really good, and it just adds to the character in the segment. So massive, massive hats off to Alexa Bliss. Really doing great work with that new character. But of course, Alexa's Playground was one of the big talking points tonight. Because yes, once again, she was there in the ring with her swing set, etc. And she said some very interesting things. The first one being, maybe the Fiend is waiting until Legends Raw next week, so the Fiend can meet his hero, Hulk Hogan. I'm sure you remember, back in February, I think it was, Hogan and Bray had a whole, exchange via video call, because that's where Hogan was, and Bray was in the Funhouse, where Bray basically threatened to put Hogan onto the wall of friendship. And it was very interesting back then. We sort of theorized that maybe an attack would happen. Now, obviously, Alexa's hinting at an attack possibly taking place at Legends Raw. And it would make a lot of sense. Think about it. The Fiend, when he first debuted, when he first started coming to the main roster, attacked Legends. People like Mick Foley, like Kane, like Jerry the King Lawler, Kurt Angle, were all legends that the Fiend attacked. If this is indeed going to be some kind of second coming for the Fiend, then surely maybe if life is a circle, maybe he's going to start attacking legends again. That could be very interesting. It could be a complete ploy by Alexa Bliss. She could be hinting at Legends Night. The Fiend may not be coming. Maybe she attacks a legend herself. But I do feel with the cliffhanger that they ended on Raw, I think that will probably be the focal point for Alexa next week. Whenever they talk about it, I think that will be the big thing she does next week. We got this brilliant shot of Alexa's Playground. You can clearly see everything. The purple lighting, the smoke. You can see the swing set, the horse, the slide, everything. We did not get this camera shot last week, so I definitely wanted to include it. Once again, Alexa did seemingly keep looking to that swing to her left. Of course, the empty swing where we theorise that maybe she sees the Fiend or her version of the Fiend. Possible. We also got this, a cool little graphic for Alexa's Playground. Notice the new logo for Alexa's Playground is in the style of the Firefly Funhouse. It is wrote with the Funhouse font that they use. Of course, you can clearly see it's got the clouds. Again, the shape of the Firefly Funhouse logo, like the clouds of the Funhouse are as well. You've got the cartoon animation of Alexa Bliss. And of course, they was playing like the memory in the cloud on the right. Now, this was very interesting because when this played, the advertisement for it, they showed you, you heard the Firefly Funhouse intro music. We did theorize last week that maybe Alexa was using this playground as her version of the Firefly Funhouse, and I think that's more than likely at this stage. Obviously, it is set in the ring, not backstage like a Funhouse segment is. Interesting as well, if they're going this in depth with it, where Alexa's now got her own playground, Does that mean maybe Bray's out longer than we think, and this is the replacement for the funhouse for now? I think it's possible. I do think it's possible, and it's not what I want, but I just want to put it out there because it is possible. When Alexa came to the ring to challenge Randy Orton, she seemingly did The Rock's Just Bring It. We haven't really seen any other superstar do that. It might just be a massive coincidence, but this is Bray Wyatt's world, and you know in that world everything means something, so it's definitely worth noting her doing that gesture for sure. I do completely understand it if you, for some reason, didn't like the way Raw ended. I think a cliffhanger is always going to be one of those things you either love or you absolutely hate. I don't think there's much of a middle ground with it, because of course you want to know what happens, you want to see the outcome, and you don't get that. You've got to wait now an entire week, and it's what a lot of TV shows do to bring in the ratings next week. And you know what? Hats off to WWE for trying new things. This genuinely had a lot of attention on social media. I can still see right now that Twitter is still going crazy, whether people loved it or hated it. The idea is it's got you talking, and a lot of casual fans that may not have watched this week's Raw will see what happened, and they'll probably tune in next week because OMG, what the hell? You know, you're going to have that big influx, and I think that's exactly what WWE was going for. Plus, remember, this is on worldwide television, and they can't set someone on fire on TV. It's genuinely the case. With that being said, I still do think maybe we get some kind of footage, maybe doctored footage where it goes to still images or something next week of what happened. Does Randy set Alexa on fire? Does the Fiend return and save her at the very last minute? Does she jump out of the ring and save herself? We don't know until next week. There's many outcomes. I'm sure we're going to talk about it in the coming days. But this was things you might have missed. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments section down below. If you are new to the channel, please join the gang and hit the subscribe button. Turn on those notifications so you never miss an upload. Like the video, it really does help it on YouTube, so I do appreciate that a lot. Share the video so your friends can find it. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at CWrestlingUK. And I'll see you as always next time. Peace!